The speech that ended a dream. The great chamber of the Galactic Assembly shimmered with silver light, refracted through crystalline arches that loomed like the bones of extinct gods. Over 1,000 species watched from their enviro-sealed seats, each attuned to their physiology, liquid, gas, solid, or something between. At the center, a circular platform rotated gently to face the delegates. Standing there, alone but proud, was Ambassador Elena Duval, Earth's first full diplomatic envoy to the Galactic Assembly. She stood tall, dressed not in armor or formality, but in a plain dark suit stitched with subtle blue. Earth's oceans, a reminder of origin. Her voice was clear, carried to all ears and translation algorithms in perfectly timed intervals. We come not to dominate, nor to isolate. Earth seeks only peace, trade, mutual growth. Some turned away. Others blinked their vertical eyes or twitched sensory stalks. A few nodded in approval. The Galactic Assembly was old. Too old. Empires had risen and fallen within it, all bound by layers of political ritual and unspoken threat. Earth, barely 2 decades in the fold, was an infant nation among ancient predators. And yet, Elena's speech had a tone none of them quite knew how to process. Hope. Our species has known war. Too much of it. But from that fire we forged understanding. And with understanding, strength. We offer both to this assembly. From the upper terrace, among the Krall Dominion's delegation, General Vok Tauran narrowed his dark yellow eyes. His carapace armor glinted with bloodstone metals, earned in wars that sterilized planets. To him, Earth was a corruption. Too bold, too fast, too human. His claw tapped against the console. Security feeds flickered, rerouted for 12 seconds. On the dais, Elena raised her hand. Let Earth be a symbol, not of conquest, but of conviction. The plasma bolt struck her between the eyes. There was no sound at first, just light, white. Final. Elena's body crumpled as if puppet by strings suddenly cut. Her head struck the floor with a sickening, wet sound. Smoke curled upward from the cauterized exit wound. Her final words hung in the air like ghosts, mid-translation in 300 languages. Screams followed in the human section. One aide vomited. Another rushed forward before being tackled by security drones. General Vok Tauran stood, unrepentant. He holstered his sidearm casually, like it was a routine execution. No one stopped him. The infestation speaks too boldly, he growled. This assembly forgets its place. A few members of the council clicked or chittered in agreement. Most remained silent, unsure where the power was shifting. The human delegation was ordered to withdraw. Their protests were logged and ignored. Diplomatic immunity did not apply to the dead. Back on Earth, video feeds were cut just before the impact. But it didn't matter. The sound, the silence, the smoke, they rippled through the infosphere like a dagger through silk. At a secure underground complex beneath Geneva, the president of Earth, Angela Reed, addressed the United Nations Emergency Council with calm precision. We will not retaliate, she said. We will not bring war to a chamber meant for peace. In the back of the room, unnoticed by cameras, the Minister of Defense leaned to a secure compad. That's that Rourke, she said. Activate. Immediate departure. Single objective. Thousands of light years away. As Elena Duval's blood was still being cleaned from the galactic chamber floor, a shuttle detached from the orbital fringe of Earth's lunar base. It carried no insignia, no escort, no diplomat, just a single man and a long, silent case. He would not speak at the assembly, but he would be heard. Earth's response, one man. Jack Rourke didn't look like a savior. He sat in the dark belly of the stealth shuttle, hands resting on his knees, eyes closed. The metal case at his feet vibrated slightly as the inertial dampeners compensated for another micro-jump through folded space. Inside the case was the only thing that truly belonged to him anymore. A custom-modified Gauss rifle, designation M11B needle. The shuttle was quiet, except for the hum of gravity stabilizers and the occasional status chime from the cockpit. The pilot, an AI ghost called Whisper, hadn't spoken since departure. That suited Jack just fine. He'd received no mission briefing. He didn't need one. He'd watched the footage. He'd seen Elena Duval's body collapse on the marble floor of the Galactic Assembly, her final words suspended in translation as her blood spread beneath her. He remembered Elena, not personally, but in principle. She was one of the good ones, naive, maybe, but honest. Earth had sent a speaker, and they'd killed her mid-sentence. Now Earth had sent something else. Jack opened his eyes as the shuttle disengaged cloak and blinked into a low-orbit parking vector above Zerat Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Assembly. It hung below him like a blue-in copper jewel, beautiful in the way fire is beautiful. Whisper finally broke the silence. Insertion point prepared. You'll have 90 seconds in the maintenance tunnel before security sweep resumes. That's 82 many, Jack muttered, standing up. He slung the rifle case over his back and pulled on a dark reactive combat suit. It shimmered, adjusting to the ambient light, contouring his shape into a near-invisible blur. He slipped out of the hatch and dropped silently into the atmosphere. The maintenance shaft stank of ammonia and industrial grease. Jack moved like water, his boots magnetizing briefly for stability on the curved metal walls. His path took him beneath the spires of the Karath district, the beating heart of the Galactic Military Authority. This was where General Vok Tauren worked, where he planned, where he slept, if monsters like him slept at all. Earth's formal complaint had been submitted, of course, rejected without deliberation. Internal military matter, the Assembly had ruled. Unfortunate, some called it. Justified, others whispered. Jack didn't care about their whispers. He reached a junction node and activated a spidery device from his belt. It skittered along the corridor, jacking into local systems. After a few seconds, the node screen fuzzed and spat out a basic map of the command spire above. Top floor. Restricted. Dozens of life forms, 2 command drones, and 4 bodyguards, each from a different species bred for killing. Typical, Jack grunted, arrogant and afraid. Still, this wasn't the Martian rebellion or the Europa collapse. He wasn't fighting humans or even near humans. These creatures had reflexes faster than snakes, claws that could shred tanks, and venomous egos to match. But they had one weakness. They'd never fought a human with nothing to lose. He surfaced 3 levels beneath the council chamber, riding a sewage maintenance drone up a vertical shaft. The stink was inhuman, but it masked him better than any stealth tech. From there, it took him 15 minutes to ghost past security systems, override retinal locks, and rig the fire suppression protocols to simulate a nitrogen leak. Alarms flared. Confusion erupted in the upper chamber. Guards rushed down to verify the malfunction. Jack climbed. He moved fast and low through the darkened corridor, his rifle assembled and live. The M11B hummed with energy. No muzzle flash, no sound, just a magnetic whisper and a hypersonic slug. No shield in the galaxy could stop it. He breached the council doors with a silent burst charge. Inside, chaos. Alien generals turned, some half-armored, others snarling in panic. But one figure remained seated, calm as a lizard on a sunstone, General Vok Tauren. Jack said nothing. He raised a rifle and squeezed the trigger. The slug hit Tauren just beneath the mandible, exited through the back of his skull, and embedded into the wall behind. The general dropped like a marionette with its strings cut, just like Elena had. Gasps. Silence. Then a scream from a reptilian aide. Jack activated the recording drone and spoke. "You killed our diplomat mid-address." Earth sends its reply. He tossed a data chip onto the central table. "Try it again, and we won't send one rifleman." He turned, vanished into smoke and shadow, and left the chamber behind. A bullet for empires. The footage was undeniable. General Vok Tauren's head snapped back, a splash of dark ichor painting the white wall behind him. His eyes, 2 pits of molten amber, remained open even as his body slumped to the floor. The Galactic Council chamber, once a theater of control and intimidation, was frozen in shock. No alarms had sounded. No perimeter breach had been logged. A Terran, just one, had entered the most secure room on Zerat Prime and left behind only a corpse and a message. Try it again, and we won't send one rifleman. The data chip Rourke left contained sensor footage from Elena Duval's assassination. Edited, focused, replayed in slow motion as she raised her hand, then collapsed midward. The message was clear. Earth hadn't forgotten. It had remembered everything. 6 hours later, the emergency session of the Assembly convened. The same chamber, now scrubbed clean of Torn's blood, buzzed with panic. Ambassadors and generals bickered in hisses, growls, and bursts of synthetic tone. Who had allowed this? Was it a Terran fleet? Was it sabotage? No one knew how Jack Rourke had gotten in, or how he had escaped. But escape he had. Somewhere beneath the city, he was alive. And every second he remained so was a humiliation. The Krall Dominion's second-in-command, Admiral Korvath, slammed a four-clawed fist on the table. This is an act of war. The insectoid envoy from the Thrixie Hive responded in a slow, measured click. And Torn's execution of the human diplomat was not. That was justified action. Then so is this. The chamber descended into uproar. Alliances cracked. Blocks split. Some species, long dominated by Krall might, remained silent. But their silence wasn't deference. It was calculation. They just witnessed something ancient and primal, a predator unafraid to kill alone. Meanwhile, Jack Rourke moved through the sewer arteries beneath the Karath district like a virus in a bloodstream. He had no extraction plan. He hadn't asked for one. He'd always known this mission was suicide in all but name. You didn't walk into the capital of a galactic empire, kill one of its most powerful generals on live feed, and expect to go home. But Rourke didn't come to go home. He came to end the war before it began. He surfaced in a power maintenance conduit beneath a food distribution district. Surveillance here was light. The elites never came this far down. He found shelter in a disused ventilation hub, a relic of pre-fusion days, hidden behind 3 meters of steel plating and half a kilometer of obsolete ductwork. It was quiet, almost peaceful. Jack removed his helmet and stared at the blinking dots on his wrist display. Heat signatures, distant and erratic. They were looking for him, but they were looking upward toward airspace, embassies, high ground. Amateurs, he muttered. He opened a channel on an encrypted Terran frequency. Just once. Just long enough for his message to get through. Target neutralized. No contact. Proceeding with Phase 2. He paused. If I don't check in within 48 hours, release the backup file. Then he shut it down. 2 sectors away, high above the assembly chamber, a rogue signal broke through the galactic net. It wasn't human in origin, but it was sent to them. A leak. Encrypted files detailing Project Ashmantle, a Krall-led initiative to preemptively sterilize Earth's outer colonies under the guise of environmental stabilization. Proof of intent. Pre-crime genocide. The galaxy read it in horror. Delegates who had called for restraint now went silent. The Thrixie Hive, the Varn Consulate, the Eltari Clade, all historically neutral, now pivoted in Earth's favor. Quietly, not openly. Not yet. The lines had moved. Earth had made its point. It wasn't just defending a diplomat. It was defending its future. In the shadows, Jack cleaned his rifle. Not because he expected to fire it again, but because habits mattered. His eyes stayed sharp, ears tuned, muscles still ready. He knew they'd find him eventually. That wasn't the point. He'd already pulled the trigger that shattered the illusion. The assembly wasn't invincible. The Krall weren't untouchable. And humans? They weren't prey. The silence after the shot. 2 days passed. Zerat Prime remained locked in an invisible storm. Diplomatic paralysis, military alert, surveillance saturation. Every corner of the capital world bristled with drones, patrols, sniffers, biotrackers. Cities above and tunnels below were swept in overlapping patterns, but still no sign of the Terran killer. The Council issued a formal condemnation. The Krall demanded retaliation. Earth offered no apology, no denial, no follow-up. Just silence, the kind that unnerved empires. In Geneva, deep beneath the Earth security nexus, President Angela Reed met with her inner circle. No cameras, No leaks. Just one screen with a flashing red timestamp. Signal lost. Asset Rourke, 72 hours. The silence wasn't unexpected. No one had planned for his survival. Not realistically. Minister of Defense Albright looked up from his tablet, voice low. The leak worked. Half the assembly is in disarray. The Krall have lost political momentum. No one's rushing to avenge Tauran. They're too busy checking their own security. Reed nodded. And the others? They're watching us differently now. Not as a backwater species begging for a seat, but as a threat that can't be ignored. Good. She didn't smile. There was nothing to smile about. Now we build. Back on Zerat Prime, the Krall retaliated the only way they knew how: force. They raided Earth's satellite embassies on fringe planets, detained diplomats, closed trade ports, and postured before assembly cameras. Their new general, Rourke, a scarred brute with thermal blasters fused to his forearms, thundered in the chamber. Earth sends murderers, not diplomats. Their presence is poison. But the tide had turned. The Varn consulate formally called for an ethics inquiry into the murder of Ambassador Duval. The Thrixie Hive proposed a motion to reclassify Earth from probationary member to independent sovereign force. Even the Eltari, who had not spoken in open session for a century, issued a cold warning. Do not mistake silence for absence. The humans have awakened. The Krall roared. They threatened war. But no one moved, because of the man who never left. Jack Rourke died alone, beneath the bones of an ancient power grid, half a kilometer below the council chamber. He'd stained with vengeance. His body was found by a scavenger drone 2 weeks later. Gaunt, still seated, hands folded across his lap. His rifle lay beside him, unfired since Torrens' death. He hadn't run. He hadn't tried to flee. He'd simply waited, long enough to become myth. By the time the council identified him, his name had already reached the stars. Not just as a killer, but as a signal. A single Terran rifleman had reminded the galaxy of something it had forgotten. That Earth would bleed for peace, but would also kill for it. On Earth, they held no parade, no ceremony. Jack Rourke's name was etched quietly onto the wall of the unreturned, alongside the lost, the fallen, the classified. But his story spread. Whispers among the assembly staff. Rumors among alien soldiers. Ghost stories on smuggler channels. They said he came alone, walked through shadows, and struck like lightning. They said he stared down monsters and didn't flinch. That he spoke only once, and it was enough to shift an empire. And some said he was still alive, waiting on another world, rifle in hand, watching. Earth didn't confirm or deny. Why would they? Let the galaxy wonder. Let them remember. A year later, Earth's seat at the assembly had changed. No longer isolated, no longer silenced. Treaty signed, borders respected. The Krall held their tongues in session, not from fear of fleets or bombs, but because of one man, one shot, one message. You killed our diplomat mid-address. Earth sent its reply.